Hey everyone, it's Jason. Today we're going to be doing the first video of the unboxing for Kingdom Rush: A Rift in Time, based off the iOS tablet mobile game, also Kingdom Rush. It's a tower defense game. So if you're not familiar with what tower defense games are, just a quick overview is you have a group of bad guys that start like at one side of a map, and then you need to follow some sort of path or paths to get to your goal, and then you place various called tower defense, because you place various towers along the path that have automated attackers. And like most of them, like this one, it's like you have like art. It's like fantasy magic, like fantasy, like you're fighting like goblins and orcs and stuff like that, and you're using knights or soldiers and archers and magic to do it. But they've had variations on this type of game, from everything like battle monsters to Plants vs. Zombies has done one. Like pretty much everyone's tackled some sort of tower defense type game. So yeah, they made a board game out of it. It's based off of I think there's like 3 or 4 different versions of Kingdom Rush now. This is based off of the base game. So it has like some of the characters, and some of the missions are supposed to mirror missions that would be in the first game. It's by Lucky Duck Games. This is a big giant base game. Slide that aside for just a sec. So we'll also be doing a video on the Spider Goddess expansion, the first big box expansion. We will be doing a video on the double expansions of the Surdraug Lightseeker versus JT, and the Vesnan versus Moloch. So it's some new hero, new villain, like kind of like mini expansions if you don't want to buy a full big one. And then finally, I'll be doing some off the Kickstarter stuff, like the upgrade pledge components and the 3D towers. So that'll be the 4 different videos there, just so that way you kind of got an idea of what we're doing. I'm not going to try and do them all in one giant video. And this first one has a lot of content to go into, so it might be a little bit longer, or I might break it into 2 videos depending on how long it gets. Probably have to do 2 videos. We'll see. Alright, so right here, it's a 1 to 4 player game. 14 plus, 16 and 90 minutes. It is a cooperative game. So when you're playing it, you're working with the other players on your team to try and stop the bad guys. It's not even like a semi-cooperative, like we're all working to defeat the bad guys, but Iron's more points than you. Nope, it's either you all win or you all lose. I have already opened this up, and I looked at some of the components. So that's why maybe some of the stuff's not wrapped, or why the box isn't wrapped. But I haven't punched anything out or any of that stuff. Alright, so let's look at what we got here. Of course, we got our big giant rule book. Plenty of stuff explaining, showing off all our different components. Does a pretty decent job of, I also read through the instructions, of explaining how to play the game. I mean, there's a couple little things that, like, upon reading, I was kind of like, well, I'm not 100% certain what to do. But that's any game I've ever played. I always get some questions that I just have in a rule book, and I think sometimes because I'm overthinking it. But it does do some nice stuff. Like here, it just does like quick overview of what the phases are in the game. You do this, do this, do this, and then it actually here goes a quick overview. Then it actually sits there and breaks every one of them down. I did like this is a neat idea because it's showing like how the towers in the game, which tiles they can attack on. But then down here it actually shows like, okay, so if I had this one, based on what their arrows and stuff are, this is where they can attack. And they do a lot of this in this game, which is really cool. Showing what the icons are. Like here it's showing like how you can place stuff, and it's showing, or up here it's showing how, if I have this a tower and it can place this tile to attack, which spots I could potentially put it on. So it's actually really neat. They kind of like then also give you extra little guide, like right here, showing here's 2 different examples, like of what you're doing for damaging different things that happen. Like, so you can do this there, or you can do this one. Yeah, so there's actually some really neat stuff. It explains it. This is another good example of that. 3 different scenarios showing that, like, if this had happened at this time, this is what happens. If you were in this part of the phase, this is what would have happened. If you were in this part, this is what would happen. So it gives you some good idea, because I think a lot of games miss that, and here's all the glossary of terms. But they miss that, they forget to, like, include, like, examples of gameplay. I remember I was playing, like, trading card games, and you buy a starter set, and it would be like, here's how you play the game. And then they'd do, like, a sample turn, like, it would be like, alright, well, Timmy on turn 1 is going to play this card and do this. Alright, now it's Becky's turn. Becky can do this and this and this, and here's what she can do. And we go back now, here's what Timmy can do in response. And then here's what he does on his turn. They play through like a couple of turns. And it seems like board games don't do that. So I like when they actually show like the real world examples on how to do stuff. And then here's all their couple different heroes, what their abilities do, because they explain on the card, but they just explain the quick symbols, like this can do this. And here you can open up the book and actually read more in depth on what every ability does, in case you weren't for sure. Alright, that was a quick overview of our instructions. We have a scenario booklet. So how this is played is, in this book you'll find 10 scenarios in the campaign. So instead of just like randomly placing stuff down, it's actually going to tell you how to do stuff, how to set it up for each game to play like, through like essentially like the story mode, like you would in the tablet game. So like step 1, like map 1 is like the Rift in Time. And then it's showing all these different, explaining all these different things, like how the stacks work, how everything. This also kind of shows how the game goes. So you set up the map like this. You have all these different little map components. You have a big giant piece and small ones. And you start the enemies right here, and then they have to slide every turn. They move 1 tile through here. And when I get to the components, we'll see how that works a little bit better. But then it also is showing here, if you're playing with 1 player, here's how you set up some different stuff. 2 players, here's how you set things up. 3 players or 4 players. So everything's a little bit different depending on how many players you're going to play. So you can play every single scenario with that many people. Like here's the next one, it's explaining like you're using, you can use heroes. It says maybe like don't use that one, don't use the spells, you can not using these specific towers, like what you should be using to play, if there's special effects that are happening, which tiles you actually need, how you set it up. So this one has like a couple different ones there. And this one's actually, you have bad guys coming from this side and bad guys coming from this side trying to get to your goal. And then again, how you set it up for if you're playing with multiple players. And what cards, like this one you have 6 gems, none of that card but 2 of that one. And then so on and so forth. Like here it'll have, extra hero if you want to play with that. Or fighting them, or however that works. And it goes all the way through, and there's 10 different scenarios. And you can see they get quite larger maps. Like, so this one actually has, it's a boss fight. So there's a boss here and a boss here. And they're going to try and move together towards the exit. Plus you have the other villains you're fighting. And then there's this portal storm, which is 2 to 4 players. There's no solo mode for this, but this is kind of how you can then set up your own kind of like scenario. So it's just saying like you can set this stuff up, and then like how random guys can come in and do different stuff. So it's kind of more of like a custom mode. And there's some cool artwork. But yeah, it's really neat. Like you have all these campaigns, and then the extra expansions each have their own campaigns that got added in here. So there's plenty of replayability there. And then, what's also cool, if you want to keep track is you have this little sticker guide. So you have difficulties, heroic challenges, and iron challenges, and they came with these reusable stickers. I'm guessing the heroic challenge, like wings, are on the other side. Then you get this giant map here. It does unfold, if I could unfold it. So it has, in a show here, it has the base game maps. So all the way through there. And then it has the 2 different expansion maps. So there's like a gold one up there, and there's a silver one down here, and then there's like a brownish color in the middle. That's the Spider Goddess expansion. So it means there's 10 base ones. It looks like 3 for one expansion, 4 for the other. And then, or 4, so it's 8. So it's 18 right there, plus another 7. So it's actually quite a decent number. And then they have the little stars you can put up there to keep track of how well you did. And that would be in the campaign. Because if you survive, you get different things. Let's see if it explains that in here quick. The scoring mechanic. So like they have different scoring mechanics for some of them. Like if you have full health, you I have to read exactly. I did not read this book, but yeah, there's different goals. Basically, the better you do, the less bad guys that get through, the better you do. Oh, this is what it's saying. So it's like if you only want 1 star, you start with 12 health. And you get this amount of like things to start with or whatever. But then each harder difficulty, you get less health and less or different items. And then you can do the heroic challenge, which does adds an extra special challenge to it. And then like up here they have even the iron challenge. Heroes have 1 less move point, so it just makes it even that much more difficult. So essentially, you know, you're trying to beat the game like every single game, but you want to do better. So it's like you can win, like, hey, we won, they got through, but we did really terribly. Like we won with like 1 health point, we had 12. We could try essentially a harder difficulty. So you can play each one up to 4 times. Plus, you can do that iron challenge, which makes it even harder. So, like, even in the base game, there's 10 scenarios, but if you play each one on each of the 4 difficulties, 1, 2, 3 star, heroic difficulty, and then the iron is actually 5. So, it essentially makes it like 50 different scenarios. So, that's actually, you know, yeah, they're the same, but like then you have to figure out like, okay, which hero do I use to best do this? Where do I place our towers? And it's kind of a puzzle to figure it out. Here are some of the tiles. These are the big long ones you can use. This is where your towers go. So they sit on here, and then these are like the paths that the horde go on. And then I'm assuming you can always place like one of these other ones adjacent to it. So we got a bunch of different ones like this. They are numbered in the corner so you can keep track of which ones are which. They only numbered on the one side. Oh, they're numbered. Yeah, so this is B5 or this is A5. So that way you know exactly which one you're trying to do. Here's one of the big tiles. It's all one big solid piece. We get a couple of different areas there. Here we're going to have a bunch of our abilities and spells. So each ability is color-coded. So green is for 1, orange, brown. Some magic spells. Your exit points here. Little tokens down there for one of the characters. And if we flip those over, they explain what they all do. Yeah, so besides placing towers, you get to place, each person gets a hero that they can move around, which does their own special thing. So, like, everyone shares, like, the pool of towers, so you're all kind of doing the same thing, but then each hero makes a unique thing. And then your heroes and your towers will produce special tokens, And these are what you use to attack enemies. And they have the different shapes. These are polyominoes. So you have some that cover up one space. This one can cover 3 straight. This can cover 4. These cover 3, but in an angle. And then they're the same on both sides. So it doesn't matter which direction you go. And that kind of also adds to which characters you want and what you do. Got another map, a straight one. Here's a big open one. Here's some more grass tiles. We got some 2 tiles and some single ones. Then we also have some flip side that are more open plain. More grass. Some more different ones. A lot of different tiles. So you have lots of customization. Here we have some player tokens, so you can keep track of whose turn it is, or like what color each person is. Health counters, I believe, or these are like health counters. I think this is how many spawn points there are. Crystals for buying new abilities. Those are all the same on that side. Another big tile. Gives you some different shapes to set up. There's the last big tile. That one actually is a nice big round area. And then our last token tray, which has all the other tokens. So we have like some square ones for one of the characters, the heroes. We have some damage tokens for some of the towers. Arrow tokens, which are some of your arrow towers. Some speed icons. Alright, that's all of those. Eventually I will punch all of these out in one of the other videos for the upgrade pledge. I have a tray that's supposed to go for lots of this different stuff and that, so I'll probably do an updated video. Now inside we have a tray here. Sits on top, holds it in there. There was complaints about some of this stuff that people were complaining in the Kickstarter that there's nothing holding this on. It can fall off really easily. But I kind of feel like if you stacked everything else in there and it's kind of holding that stuff on there, it's not going to be a problem. Yes, if I stand my game up like this, everything's just going to shift out. But if you put all the stuff in, it was kind of stacked in there to hold it in, you're probably fine. I don't know. I don't usually stack any of my games on their edge anyhow. I always lay them down because everything has so many components. Alright, we have a ton of different stuff here to go through. I'm going to pull these tiles back out because I can reference them. So, if I have one of these, we have these cool trays, and we have a bunch of these. These are where we put our bad guys on. They're fighting us. So then what they can do is they can sit on here, and then every turn when they have to move, they can slide a space very easily. And we got plenty of those. So, and this is what a villain tile is going to look like, or a bad guy tile. So then what you're doing is you're using, I'm going to pop out one of these, is throughout the game. So they're going to essentially sit on here, not obviously to stack this tall, because there's going to be one card, but they're going to sit on here, and then every turn they're going to move the direction towards the exit, unless something stops them. You are placing towers, which will look like these guys, to try and stop them. And it's going to show different arrows showing what direction they can shoot. So this can shoot one space forward, one that direction, one that direction. So if I had this guy facing here, he can shoot an arrow here, here, or here. And that's an orientation on these things will make a difference, because if he's faced this way, then it's these 3 tiles. If I had him back here, it would be that one, and then if there was a tile over here. If I had him here for some reason, he wouldn't be able to attack anything here because there wouldn't, but he could attack that one and that one. So it's kind of it's a strategy game. And then they're showing like if it's a melee attack, how much what level the tower is, and then what kind of token you use. So this one's showing he has one of these little arrow tokens. So he has a double arrow token. But since it doesn't show like a direction or anything, he has to place it this direction. So if I had him facing this way so he could attack this, and my horde card was sitting this direction, he would have to play it this direction according to him. And he could place it anywhere on here. So I could cover up these two little minions, or half of this big guy, or that guy, or the bottom half. I believe you can put them like this, as long as you're covering up at least one of the two. Like, I can't just set it way over here. You have to target one of the guys. And the idea then is you're trying to play different things to cover up all these different villain spots to beat them. And then that's how you defeat this horde. And then you have to worry about the next one. That's how the game is played. So now you kind of got an idea of what that is. I can start opening up these tiles, but got a bunch of different tiles here, so we got plenty. And they're also recessed in here, so that when I put that card in there, I can also set this on top of it, and it's not going to fall immediately up. So that card's going to take up a little bit of room, so it'll sit a little bit up. But then that way, when you have your tile on there, I can slide this entire thing with these damage tiles, and they're not going to fall out or slide off the edge. And that's what makes these really cool. And a little finger hole to push them out. So we got plenty of those, so you shouldn't ever run out. Alright, that was all of those. So before I get to the cards, we got a pack of towers. We got a pack of those, and we have some other portals and stuff like that. Let's look at some of the other interesting components we have. And we'll get to all the cards, because this video is almost out. Alright, we have these guys. Let's look at these. These are your different colored tower bases. Open those up and look at those quick. So these are all translucent. Being said, this one has red, this one's purple, red, green, yellow. And those correspond to them colors. There's a white one, which is like a generic one. Otherwise, each player, depending on what scenario, gets X number of these, or how many players you have. And they determine who gets to do what. So if this one's right here, this is saying only a red player can place their tower there. Whereas if I have this one here, then that means the purple player can only play their towers there. So that just adds to even more of the strategy and co-op, because you could be like, I have this really good tower that would work really well here, but I'm the purple player. And then during your turn, you have options of passing towers to other players, which actually upgrade them as well. So someone could be like, well, I have a tower that would work better here, you could give it to them, and then instead of giving them a level 1, they'd actually gain a level 2 on their next turn. Because they can hit more area here. But depending on what it is, because this would be good for like that an archer tower that can hit one of these 3 spots. But some of these do ranged, or they can do L shapes, or they can rotate, and it might be better to place it here or there. It just adds to more of that cool strategic element of the game. Another neat thing we got that we're going to look at quick. And I'll go over these in a little bit more detail. I just want to do a quick view of what these are. Is we have player boards. Like here we got a picture of him. This is Magnus Spellbane. So he's our magic hero. And this is, each player gets one of these cards, and here's where the incoming towers I was just talking. So if you trade one to another player, they get this. Here's your turn sequence on what to do. Ongoing abilities. Starting towers, so if you pick this character, if you're playing by yourself, you get these, but you get different ones. And then if we look at another character here, so we have Aria Swiftwing. She's going to get different starting towers, and she's going to have a different ability. She has a special Wildcat ability where he has an ongoing. They're going to get different towers. Like, she's going to get 4 players. She only gets an Archer Tower where he gets a Mage Tower. So it's also, depending on what characters you pick, they're going to work differently. Looks like both of these characters each have 3 health and 3 movement. But then on this side, it's going to show their abilities. So they have slots for their own special abilities. Every character has between, I think, 4 and 5. So you have different options there too. So again, when you're playing your scenarios, you have to decide what ability is going to work best. And then some of the earlier ones won't even let you use them. But it also shows they have different attacks. So like Magus here has a magic attack. Aluria has a physical attack. So she can only attack like, because some enemies have weaknesses or defenses against certain types of attack. All goes into the strategy. And it also shows what direction he can attack. So he can do one either direction, just like the tower we showed, the Archer Tower. But he can rotate his little purple thing. So like where the tower can only go the one direction, he can go either direction. And it says if he's on a building site, he can put another one on the target horde. So he actually gets a free one depending on where he's standing. Already on the other hand, she can go left, right, or she can go 2 spaces forward. So she gets a little bit longer ranged attack. She gets a double attack. She can also rotate plus a single one. And she may respawn her Wildcat. So, like, every character is going to get a little bit different ability, which is really neat. And then, so let's just look at the other ones quick, as long as we've already started. We have Malik, Hammer Fury, so he has 4 health, but he has 2 speed, so he's a little bit more durable. He can't move as fast. He gets protection and ongoing ability, and he's got some Militia. His is a basic attack, which is a melee, so he has to do it next to somebody, but he puts his big giant square down, and it says for each blank square covered, put another crater or earth spot next to the adjacent horde. So he gets to actually do some extra damage, like splash damage. We have Ignis, the fire hero, so he's got 4 health and 3 movement. But he has no special ability over here. He's got the Bombarder stuff. He's got a magic base attack. But it's a fist, so it has to be directly in front of him. He doesn't have any range. He gets a 3 spot that he can rotate. If this covers exactly 2 enemies, place another fire on each adjacent horde. So basically, if he hits 2 guys, exactly 2 guys only, he can kind of splash damage out. So it's a little bit trickier to play. And finally, we have the secret hero that they had in this set. They originally weren't going to announce this hero, and just expect people to open the box and be like, oh my gosh, we got a free hero. And then somewhere along the line, it got spoiled either during unboxing or something. But we got Lilith. So she has an ongoing, she's some Militia. So she has a basic attack, which has a fist or a range. So Lilith or another hero adjacent to her may recover an ability and heal. So she only does 1 little token instead of some of the bigger ones, but she can help heal your characters. Those are our 5 heroes. We got some miniatures for them. We'll look at those miniatures quick. And we'll eventually get to back to those cards. Alright, so there we have, slide that up out of the way, we have Lilith, Fiery Axe, and then how they would work is, when they're moving around, you can place them on these tiles. You can place them right there, and that can cover up 4 spaces, or she can cover up those 3, or do it like that if she needs to, depending on where. So that's neat. The heroes move around, they can stop on tiles, actually cover up spots, besides also doing damage. And all 4 of them have the same base size, so they're all going to cover up the save. Here's Ignis, the fire guy. Malik, I believe is his name. I haven't played this enough to memorize the names. Yep, Malik, the hammer guy, the earth. So we got like an earth guy, like a fire guy. Magus, our mage. And finally, we have Alia, the Huntress. She's got her bow. And then, what's also neat is she has her little wildcat ability special, which is a two-tile thing. So she's got like a little extra helper. Alright, what else do we got in here? There's so much stuff in here. I'm trying to go through it all and trying to hope it all makes sense. So we get these little tokens here for each character. And then these sit on your board here, where it says activate hero. So like if I have, it doesn't matter which one I'm using. But yeah, they have activate hero, so you can have this, so you know if your hero is activated or not. Little extra thing there. We got some single tiles. They're kind of neat. So if you need some of them. There's only 3 of them, though. It'd be kind of neat if there's more. They're not that... Cardboard's not... It's not a super thick cardboard, but, like, I don't think it needs to be, because you're not shuffling these. I think, again, that was an issue that some people had during the... in the Kickstarter. So you've got some of these components were maybe a little flimsy. But I also feel like how detailed do you need them to be? Or how thick do you need all these card stock to be? These aren't really any worse than like a trading card, Magic the Gathering or anything, and you're not shuffling these. So here I have some helper cards that are going to show we have physical damage, magic damage, and true damage. True damage is basically a combination of physical and magic. We have melee and perfect range. Bad guys can have some different things. We have big enemies, we have healers, deadly characters, dead-eye characters, and movement, which affect what different things they can do. And then also on the outside, it's going to show if they have resistance on some of these, so some of magic resistance. So you can't place magic damage. Some have physical. You can't do physical. Path breakers cannot be covered. Creates new paths when spawned. So that's what these guys are. You can see like they have like the damage symbol on there. That's why there's not so many of these. So basically, I think it allows you to break open a path. So like if this board was long, you could set one of these here. And then all the bad guys can go through there. They have ghosts. It cannot be covered. Spawn ghost horde after the horde is destroyed. Flying cannot be covered. Before moving, push all hero soldiers off to this horde. Horde does not jump other hordes. It moves on top of them. Interesting. But yeah, it's like the defenses are kind of neat, because that way, again, you have to plan a little bit better. Let's look at these other guys a little bit closer. So we have big enemies. Kingdom loses 4 hearts if not completely covered. So, when these guys escape, so if they do manage to escape, because sometimes you can't beat all of them. You just don't have the resources, or you didn't plan right, or something happened. If they escape, your kingdom takes 1 point of damage for each character. And saying this guy would cost 4, because he's got 4 spots, so you take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. And depending on what difficulty you're playing is how much health you have. Like, I was showing in the beginning when you had 8, but if you played on one of the harder difficulties, you had 4, you played heroic, you had 1 health. Like, you couldn't let one guy escape. And that makes a difference. And sometimes you might just have to... You might have to maybe cover up this guy and then let like 1 or 2 of these guys escape, to win. You don't have to sacrifice. They have healers. Before moving all other icons, Remove all damage tiles from this horde. So basically, you want to cover those guys up as quickly as possible. Deadly. Heroes and soldiers cannot cover a deadly enemy. That's saying is you have your heroes, and then there's also little soldiers, which are, instead of like the magic damage types like these, or some that you actually put little meeples or tokens on there to represent soldiers, which work just like the heroes, and they cover up a spot. These guys are just saying you can't put a character on there. Deadeye. After moving, all heroes or adjacent to this horde take 1 damage. So you got archers that do extra damage. And then movement, so a horde normally only moves 1 space per turn. If they have a speed icon, they get to move twice. And then sometimes there'll be like 4 or 5 enemies on a tile that have speed. So you have to cover all of them. Then we have reference cards for the bosses. So we've seen Lilith, who's our one hero, but she's also a villain. So it's kind of neat. You get her as a hero and a villain. So we actually have 5 heroes, but we also have 3 villains. We have Lord Blackbird, and we have the Time Mage. And on the back here, it's just going to explain what they're, kind of how they work. Like, they have different sequences, they have special abilities. His actually works a little bit differently. He just got an attack and move. So that's neat. Well, it's just a reminder on how those work. Let's look at the other 2 bosses then quick. The last 2 miniatures that we have. So we have the Time Mages. So there's an old version and a young version. It's kind of neat. Their bases can not snap together, they can slide together. And that kind of, supposed to link their staff together. And it kind of does. But that's neat. It's like, there's some mechanics you have to work with them. Having an old version and a young version. And then we have Big Giant Lord Blackburn here. Look at how big this dude is. He is literally like a tile himself. So when he's on here, he's taking up an entire tile. Where these mages are pretty much the same as a regular character. And these are just big giant asses. These are actually, they're all pretty detailed, nicely made. No complaints with any of those. And the last thing we have in the box, and then there's all this storage space in here for storing different decks and your miniatures and some tokens and all this stuff. And I think they're supposed to be able to put some of the expansion stuff in there. So I'll have to look at that. We got some meeples for your soldiers. And then one of the upgrade pledges I got through the Kickstarter, I got little meeples or little actual plastic figurines that replace these. But otherwise, what these do is you just place them on one of the, set them on one of the tiles when they shoot out. So instead of using one of the little polyominoes, you put one of these guys on here. The difference, though, is that if these guys, when they move, they do damage to any heroes that are on their tile. So soldiers or the heroes will prevent the tiles from moving. So it makes sense to throw a little soldier on here, or throw your hero on here. They're occupying the horde, so they can't keep moving through the field. So they won't be permanent damage though, because when they try and move, they'll do a point of damage. So your hero will keep taking damage if he stays on a tile fighting these guys too long. And the soldiers will too, but they can stop them from moving for 1 turn. So that's kind of interesting. Alright, let's go through some towers here. Yeah, this is a really interesting game. It sounds very complicated from what I'm describing, but it's not. If you've played your tower defense, you kind of, you already got an idea of how it works. But essentially, it's just, enemies are trying to get from one side of the board to the other. You're playing things to try and stop them. Either you're playing temporary characters to hold them from moving, or you're playing things that do damage. Alright, so we're going to have a bunch of different towers here. So on the back, they're just going to show a broken tower. And then these guys get placed in any of the grassy areas. They can only be placed on your color team, but only in the grass areas. And we've kind of went through what they do. We're going to have a bunch of different archers. Maybe a few for every different color. So then it upgrades. Oops. So in the Archer Tower, you can upgrade it from level 1, shows down here, to a level 2. So it still has the same range. And you can see the picture changes a little bit. But now instead of doing a double tile, now you can do an L tile, but you can also rotate it. So you want to upgrade your tower so you can do more damage. The level 3 also changes. So instead of doing an L, now you can do 3 separate ones, but you can also shoot one extra direction straight forward. So it gives you a little bit more options, because now you're not limited to having them stuck in one spot. Like there's only 2 of them, so they only go up, so it goes bunch of 1s, fewer 2s, couple of 3s. We have some Mage Towers, so these guys can only shoot forward 1 space, but they have an L token. So, like, the difference there is these guys can go 3 spaces, but they only get 2, they get 1 extra spot. But it's also magic versus physical. So then the level 2 Mage Tower, though, can go 3 spots, and it gets the Z tile. Level 3 still goes 3, still has a Z tile, but now you can rotate it. So you get different options. You gotta decide what's worth upgrading. We have a Bombarder, which does a damage token. So now this one's kind of neat, because it can do 1 straight forward, or on the side, it can do 1 off to the side, or 1 either direction. So that would be, if I had this on my board, let's slide a board up here. So this tower here could do 1 damage right here, or it could go from this side, it can do 1 damage either here or here. So it can still hit all 3, but it's going to do 2 separate tiles, which is kind of neat, because you can do 1 there only, or you can do 1 here or 1 here or here. So you're going to either do here or there, or just 1 of them. So it's kind of interesting to get a little bit different options. And plus these don't suffer from some of the other resistance. So then when you upgrade it to level 2, now instead you can do a double damage forward. So it'll still cover either this or this, but now you can also do 1 to each side. And then here you get a howitzer. So 3, a 2, and 2 with rotatable. Alright, and then we have the Militia. The Militia are what summon our little soldier tokens. It's saying you can put 1 little soldier guy out. And if you've ever played the game, you'll know that you get these, and these guys staying out in the middle of the road. I think, now the difference here is also, they have this special icon up here, and a special icon here. So, normally, a tower can only be placed, on top of another tower, of the same type. So you can only upgrade from, like, level 1, 2, and 3. You can place other towers on top of the Militia. So if I throw out a soldier, they can be standing out wherever, and then next turn I could go ahead and play a different, card on top of it, I believe. Not 1,000%, but I'm pretty sure. So they have a different spot here, so they're going to show extra little different symbols on the back, versus these guys have the broken towers. Yeah, so this one lets you put 2 footmen out. And this one lets you put out 3 knights in 3 adjacent areas. And then now we have some true spots. So these are level 4s. So there's only 1 of each of these. So you can upgrade your tower to a ranger hideout, which lets you do The magic lets you do one that direction or one forward, or lets you do with arrows one direction, either direction, or a bunch that way, so you're a lot better. You can get something to level 4, you're going to dominate. We have the Arcane Wizard, so they can do double forward, one direction, but you get 2 rotatable L's. The Big Bertha 500 millimeter, 1 rotatable triple forward, and then you get 1 rotatable 3 from either side. So you can wreck with these guys. And then we have the Holy Order, which gives you 4 in any of the directions. And again, these are true, so they count as both magic and physical, and they ignore defenses. And then here we have the Musketeer Garrison. So you have a different level 4, which lets you target something for 4 shots. So instead of doing a ranged, it gives you, I don't remember exactly what it does, but I think you get to target whatever you want, but you get to do 4 icons. We have the Sorcerer's Mage. So this is kind of neat, because you get to place 1 soldier straight forward, plus a Z tile and a single tile, and the Z tile is rotatable. Obviously the single one doesn't matter if you rotate it. We have a Tesla X104, so it gives you, say like the other one did 3 and 3, this does a 2, a 2, and 3 triples, but it gives you a lot more area. And then finally we have the Barbarian Hall, which gives you 3 soldiers and some damage tokens. So it's kind of neat. They have some like mixtures between the 2 different things. So that's all our different tiles there. We're going to look at this other pile. We're going to look at the Horde tiles last, I think. If I can get these open. And then some of the scenarios, like the earlier ones, they're going to probably say, like, you can't use level 4s. Because that would be, maybe too abusive. To pull a level 4 or level 3 tower on, like, the first mission. And you can't just automatically play it. You have to, again, to upgrade your tower. So if it's, if we have 3 players, player 1 can be like, I don't want to place my archery tower, level 1. I can pass it to player 2, and then so they put the level 1 back in the box, they pull to level 2, so then on player 2's turn, they get a level 2 tower, and they could be like, okay, I don't need the level 2, I'm going to pass it to 3, so then they give it to player 3, they put the level 2 back in, and then player 3 gets to level 3. And you might be like, well, that's a good way, because then by the time you got to back around to the first player, they could have a level 4 tower. Yes, but it also means that player 1, 2, and 3 have not played any towers. So if you went 3 turns without playing any towers, you're probably going to lose. Alright, so we have some different tokens here. These are stuff for the bosses. This is stuff for the Time Mage. This is when the Time Mage moves towards the exit. When Time Mage moves, they move towards the exit. If they exit, you lose. Time Mage is going to be damaged by level 4 towers. So just means you have to have level 4. If either Time Mage figure moves into the white build site, place the other with it, and flip this card. So if they basically combine together, they become really hard to fight. And then they got some special Time Mage cards. So I think this is how they can sit on the board and you have different damage. So here she only has this amount of spots, that amount, and then she actually gains the full token. It's like her level 3. I believe that's how it is. I didn't really read into the bosses too much, but they give you different tiles for how they can move and interact. So here's the other one. So hers, she starts with a little bit less, and then she gains a full tile. And there's special abilities on there. Then we have some other special cards. For the Portal Storm. So I believe this is like the custom mode, so we're gonna play with them. And then like here, so if you drew this one, you get this version of her, but you can't do magic damage to those two spots. If you're fighting Lord Blackburn, because these all have the Portal Storm on the back. Here has physical resistance there. You can only place soldiers on these spots. Makes it a little bit harder. Before old time mage moves, and when she's destroyed, return a tower, ability, adjacent site to the supply. After she advances, they do some different stuff. Then there's some like conditions. Thick fog. Players must pass all their archery type towers this turn. They can spend their crystals to cancel this effect. So they have different must pass soldiers. Heroes only move one spot. It's just different like conditions to mess with you. Heroes must choose one flipping ability face down or suffer a damage. Each player that has towers must pass exactly one this turn. You cannot pass more than one tower. Some interesting different stuff. Again, I didn't read through every single part of the scenarios and all that, so I don't remember what all of these things do. So here we have some cards for Blackburn. So here's a bunch of his backs. And then here's like his mode. So here's like, he's partially there. And then here he's kind of forming a little bit more. Where to resist physical. A little bit more. And then it's full one where he can take all his damage. Got some special cards for himself. Can't take damage, minus tower levels. And then we have some special cards for I already forgot what her name is. Lilith. Destroy a building, some damage. Boy, that looks terrible. If there are no hordes between Lilith and the spawn point 3, she moves to it. Final round, if you survive, you win. So she's got a little bit different gameplay. That's its neat. All the different bosses all play a little bit differently. So like the regular hordes just move through the field and they do stuff, but the actual bosses all play a little bit differently. So these three plus the 2 from the one expansion and then the other 2 from the single expansion, they're all gonna work differently. So like, even though you're dealing with all the other horde cards just moving through and they're all gonna be a little bit different as well, you also have to then deal with all of the different boss stuff that do different things. Alright, so we're gonna look at all of the different hordes that they are. So we got some different green and purple down here is going to show which direction they fight. They go towards the exit. So if they start like this way, they're always going to go like this. You know, they're always going to slide that direction. Because it makes a difference if they're facing this way or if they're facing this way, depending on how your towers are. So here's one where what do they look like on the back? So on the back, they're going to show different costs. When you defeat these guys, you're going to gain crystals equal to the number of things. You're going to see some are green with like a level 3, 2, some 4s, some red ones, some orange ones. And the different colors have to do with which scenarios and what maps you're doing, difficulty levels, things like that. There's some blank ones. We'll see what those are. So all of these only have 1 crystal on the back. Like some of them have a double. These are different ones. I'll have to get to those when we get there. Alright, let's see what we got though. Just some different different ones are going to have different orientations. So it's the same guys, and they all have, each one has one big one and 5 small ones, but the different orientations. Look, this one's crazy. All the little guys. And then that has a 0, so it has a different border on the bottom too to show it's a different like level and color. There's some different orientations. Yeah, so you can see how varied these are all gonna be. I like this one here has a different one. It's a little wolf guy on there. Plus they have a speed icon, so this one moves 2 spaces. What also makes these cards hard, because if they would have to pass through another token or another tile, they would stop. So if this top card was trying to go down and this guy was right here, he wouldn't just, because this guy stopped because there's a hero or a soldier on him so he can't move, this card wouldn't just sit there. It would just move spaces right through him, so it would just go right to the other side of him. So that means you have to cover, not only do you want to cover all of these spots because of that, it'll move one spot to the other side of them, plus it'll move another one, because it's supposed to show that horde's moving a little bit quicker. So you definitely want to get rid of that. And that's how things can get out of control really fast. If you don't take care of some of these, or you put a hero to block one guy, a different guy can get in front of him quicker. That's a ton of speed. I show the little wolf creatures on the back. That one's a red one. And it's just a higher difficulty. So far I've only seen the same creatures, but now you got big orc guys with them. Look at how many of those dudes are. Some of these look like they're going to be a pain. We have blank tiles. So I'm not sure if these are just blank for the sake of being blank, or if they're so you can create your own tile. Now we have this ridiculousness. This is going to have that guy. So we have a bunch of rangers on here, which are ones that do damage to your characters if they're next to it. Plus these guys can't have soldiers on them, or heroes. So that makes these guys really hard to take out. We got some orcs or some archers, elf archers. We got some little goblins and wolves and archers. A bunch of different variations. Here we have some of the healers. So again, if you don't cover up them healers, they're going to remove all damage tokens. So you kind of maybe ignore this until you can make sure you can take out all them guys in one or two shots. But that's where you're going to get, is you're going to get a couple of towers all surrounding them. Here we have some big knights and some small knights. Some spiders. So these guys can't have soldiers. These guys can't be physical attacked. These guys can't be magic attacked. So it's definitely going to make tiles like these a lot harder to take out, because you have to work around those. And that was all of those ones. There are more, definitely. Now these ones all have purple on the back, which I think this is part of. Not sure what this is for. I don't remember. I would have to look it up, but I have the box buried. Oh, this is spawn points. That's what these are. So this is spawn point 1. It's gonna say you can't cover up this middle tile because this is where enemies are gonna spawn from. So this is like your last tile. So if I was playing and I had to have like whatever 10 or whatever guys in my thing, I'd have these, and each turn these would move off of here, and they keep going off, and then finally this one would get exposed, and this should be the last tile to move through. And if this one escapes, if you still have health, you win. But you have to beat, I think you have to beat it equal to the number of times it has a thing on there. But yeah, these guys look like some of these are really tricky. especially because you can't cover that middle spot. You have to work around it. So it also makes it that much more. Yeah, healers, archers, guy that can't take physical damage. Still all the same guys, though. Oh, look at all them speedy boys. Oh boy. Alright, and then we have one of these tiles that got mixed in there. We have some of this. Here we have a ghost tile. So these guys can't take magic, these Death Knights. And then ghost tile, what do you say, like they die, they come back as ghosts. I had that reference card right here. Ghosts cannot be covered. Spawn ghost horde after this horde is destroyed. So if you destroy all these guys, then you have to spawn a ghost that keeps trying to attack you. We have some zombies on that one. Oh, look at this. There's 2 big guys there, 2 big guys there, plus a bunch of little speedy wolves. Yeah, some of these are terrible. I'm frightened by some of these. Like, this is the one I can deal with. But yeah, a bunch of different enemy types. There's a flying one, so there's some birds. And flying again says, that symbol cannot be covered. Before moving, push all heroes and soldiers off this horde. This horde does not jump other hordes, it moves on top of them. So basically what it's saying is what this one's going to do is normally, like I said, them speed ones that just move through them. This one instead is just going to move on top. It's going to cover that other one, and then it'll keep moving past it. But you have to defeat this one first. A bunch of generic little guys. Oh, almost, that's an entirely full sheet you have to cover. Alright, we got a bunch more of these guys. There's a lot of these tokens, which is nice, because there's a lot of replayability. Here we got some Death Knights, some zombies, a ghost, some more different ones. I think their back is... yeah, these say 5s on the back, so probably like level 5 difficulty. Also, so you know which scenario to play again. Here's a big long ghost. And again, having something like this, instead of having like a symbol on the bottom representing it's a ghost, it also means that you can't cover up them spaces, so it makes it a little bit harder to like navigate. Here we have werewolf stalkers. Not really sure what those guys are. But some of these tiles suck. Alright. This must be a ghost tile. So if you beat it, you should have Ghost Knights. That's neat. They can't be hurt by physical attacks. Here we have some special ones. Okay, so this looks like, we got an Executioner, and then you're going to play one of the Breaker tiles. So they can break through to a different path. So they can make, so it's basically big giant guy with an axe that can't be attacked by troopers or heroes is going to chop through and just make his own way. So if you don't take him out, he's going to make a new path so that they can get through quicker. Now they're flying ones. Looks like condors. Here's a different flying guy. We got like a rocket knight. That's neat. Just the zombie hordes. Alright, that is all of those different guys. That is super crazy. All of those different things. We looked at kind of the characters. I didn't look at all their abilities. But now we're going to kind of just, I'm going to back out. We're going to review some of these other tokens and stuff now that we've seen what they are. So yeah, you're going to have, you know, the different ones for the towers. Different heroes are going to have their own different tokens. Move everything over, and then that's how these guys are going to sit on here. And then I can see how it's recessed in there, so now I can put that on there. So it's not going to fall out, but now I can slide this entire tray without it being too much of an issue. or if you cover it there. Like, obviously, if you yank on these too hard and they're on the edges, they're going to slide around. But it also helps you so you don't have to try and, like, oh, I got a bunch on there. Where can I put my finger? Because now you can just slide the entire tray. And then when you're done, oh, look, just finger hole in the back, pop it right out. Yeah, so that's neat. That's how those work. Oh, I dropped all those. Trying to get back to the boards. I was dumb and I put everything on top of them. So all our different tiles. So there's some more of the different boards, and then this one there, that black one, I think that's where your portal starts, so you know where the starting gate is versus the ending gate. And then I wanted to look at the character abilities quick. So they have the different ones here, so we're going to start with the first couple up here. The orange ones, like the light ones, those are all Lilith's abilities. She's got stuff like Resurrection. If the Horde Lilith is destroyed on, she recovers 3 hit points and does not take damage. But she can play different tiles. Get stuff where she can put one there and rotate it on each adjacent Horde. You got one here for the Hunter. This ability targets the space in the Wildcat is in, so she can play 4 single tokens wherever she moves or attack. So that makes her, helps to do that. Mage here, he's got 5 different tokens he can play. But when they use these abilities, then they have to flip them over, so they can't use them every turn. Here he can play Mirage to play some soldiers, plus some stuff. Ignis, the fire guy, can play a triple tile. This covers exactly 3 enemies. Put +1/+1 on an adjacent horde. Move Ignis 4 spaces. After each move, place a fire token on each horde that he moves into. Ignis for a hero adjacent heals 2. So definitely some different abilities. Covers exactly 3 enemies. Choose 1 hero to heal damage. Then they have some, like Earthquake. Choose any 1 hero to recover an action, take another ability, take another action. Perform a basic attack. He has protection. And then they have some of these magic spells, or like generic ones. Reinforcements, Hands of Midas, Rain of Fire, Lightning Bolt, Gem of Time Warp, and Thunderbolt. These are kind of like generic abilities you can give your guys if you want, like reinforcements. You may each play soldiers on different ones. Pass a tower and upgrade it twice. Play some fireball icons. Play some lightning icons. Yeah, just some different stuff there. So that's really cool. So you get all these different abilities. And I want to look at the instructions again quick. Basic attacks are what are on your character card. I just try to figure out what that, So the healing. A horde tray with any number of heal icons will force you to remove all damage tiles from the horde. And damage tiles are... Is that any tile? Is a damage tile? I'm trying to see if it's specified. Yeah. Various damage tiles. Okay, so any of the tiles are damage. This is the other one I looked. Perfect. This attack can target any path space on the map. So that makes those ones really, really beneficial. Because you can do anything. And then here's the thing about Militia. David has already built a Militia Tower, but has a Soldier Tower he can play. But it has already built a Militia Tower, but as is a Soldier Tower, he can play a new Marksman Tower on top of it. So that's what I was saying. These are the generic ones. You can play another card and upgrade it. So like it helps you just play them soldiers to start out to help like protect everything, and then as you go through, drop more powerful guys, or like your more powerful tiles when you need to. I'm not sure if there's a way. I'd have to look. I don't remember reading it. If there's a way to destroy your tiles or your towers, because I think you could do that in the game. You could like sacrifice them if you decided you didn't need it to gain extra gold and stuff back. Yeah, there's just like all the different spawn stacks. It's showing like what number and what cards they have. Special mechanics for these games. What portals to use. Waves, which waves to do. So yeah, you got a little bit of setup in the game. But that's alright. I mean, it's gonna take a little while to set it up, but you'll play it pretty well. How the bosses work, strike cards. I'm just gonna read the intro for that Portal Storm, if I can. So, Portal Storm, players can play Portal Storm using any of the standard difficulty setting, 1, 2, 3 star, or heroic. There are no iron challenges. When these rules contradict, winning the Portal Storm features 2 bosses. If you win Portal Storm by defeating both, you have beaten both bosses, you win at the end of the round. If you're out of hearts or they reach. She tells you what spells, towers, what hordes. Portal Storm is a semi-randomly set up replayable game mode. To prepare for the hordes, you first need to group them. The groups of hordes are based on group A, B, C, and D, so what waves they are. And then after grouping them, you sort them out. You also need Storm Strike cards and 2 Portal Storm cards that go with each boss. 1 life card that features the boss's graphics on one side in a full grid, and 1 reference card. And you set up the map, and they have different locations where you can set stuff up. But yeah, it's kind of like the other scenarios you walk through, they tell you exactly how to do everything. Then the Portal Storm lets you play stuff over. Alright, so long video. We're just going to do the one video. I said we might break it up, but I think we'll just keep it as one long one. A lot of content in here. Check out the other videos. I'll go through the expansions. They shouldn't be nearly as long as there's not as much content, and I won't be re-explaining the game again. Hopefully you understood it. It's not a how-to, but I tried to explain what the idea was. But yeah, there's a lot of content. You got 5 heroes, potentially 3 different bosses, potentially 5 heroes and 3 bosses, because that one goes back and forth. Variable abilities, variable cards, variable characters and towers. It should definitely be a fun thing to play. I like the fact that you can play it solo, because a lot of these games, maybe you can't get 4 people to play, but be able to upgrade between any of the 3 characters is really awesome. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.